I'm going to do an insight video today. I've just sort of like just started connecting in, and so I've got like two crystals on me today that I feel like I'm being drawn to, which is Super 7 and Pink Amethyst. I hadn't come across this before. Pink Amethyst. It's a lovely crystal. It's got a lovely vibration to it. It's very much around sort of like peace, harmony, balance, um, union. Again, it's very much around that. And the Super 7 is made up of different crystals, but it's like a high frequency crystal. I always feel like sort of like when I connect to Super 7, I wear a Super 7 around my neck as well. I've got like Moldavite Super 7, I've got like a Lemurian light crystal, and I've also got some amethyst around my neck. I basically don't leave or wouldn't go anywhere without some sort of crystal on me. Crystals are an amazing sort of amazing tool for each spiritual being, a sensitive being, to sort of like harmonize and sort of like link in with source energy, because each crystal holds that source energy, and each crystal is a direct sort of connection to that source energy, but it's also a tool to open you up and connect to your own source energy. So we've got many tools around us to connect in and link in, and this time's very much around that. It's all like I keep talking about source energy. Well, source energy is essential. It's essential for us in this time. It's essential to us to sort of like awaken and sort of like open up our awareness and start to remember again, that we're not these beings, or like we're not sort of like passive beings. We're beings of infinite light and infinite sort of essence and creation, and it's about us opening up to those. I've had a lot of things around sort of judgment lately, and like judgment's not in the way of, you know, the spirit world judges us, because it doesn't. It's about when we walk in spirit, we walk in harmony, we walk in balance, we walk in peace. And this is what this time's about. It's very much around sort of that's what the 5D blueprint's about. It's about us awakening uh, and learning to use our creative essence and our creative energy in a way that, one, sort of allows us to remain in balance, peace, harmony, but also allows us to connect into that source energy in our essence and start to sort of like express that light. Everything's about expressing. It's very much a shift from physical being to energetic being. No, physical sort of like reality to an energetic reality, and 5D is very much around that. I have a lot of impressions at the moment where I feel like guides and beings are walking with you. I feel like you're very much connected into your infinite self. How mine appears to me is I always feel like there's like a being of like that's dressed in white, like got long beard, long energy, like long hair. So it's like the long hair is very much around sort of energy. The being is very much around wisdom, understanding, knowledge, and I feel this sort of like this how it sort of like it manifests itself to me is I feel like the energy sits behind me and with me. If you've ever seen like the Light Summit, they're a sort of like a collective of beings that talk about ascended masters. They had prophets, I think Claire, I think her name was, to do with it. But they're sort of like a church of. There's a mixture of like, it seems like it's very sort of like Christian sort of like beliefs, but also sort of like ascended masters as well. And they see like the Light Summit, when you see a picture of it, you see like the different aspects to our being, in a sense. Like they've got like you see the physical being, then you see like a spiritual being, then you see like your higher self, and it connects in many different ways. But for me, it's like I seem to get this impression of this white energy that's behind me, or is like integrated with me, and this is an integration of my infinite self, and I feel this quite regularly at the moment. I feel like this is what's happening to me. But I was also talking about judgment, and judgment is quite an interesting one, because I think spiritually, there's no judgment in the spirit world, but there's also like there's judgment that we bring upon ourselves, and these some of these readings over the last couple of days have been very much around that. Spirit keep telling me, and I feel like my guardians keep telling me about this concept of no rights and wrongs. That you know, they're very much like the universal law of oneness is trying to sort of like integrate and sort of manifest within my own awareness. and it's very much around I need to step into that light and remain in that light. And this remain in that light is about dissolving and removing limitations, because this is a big one for us at the moment. This is a big shift. A lot of us, I feel like we get caught up in the daily sort of the daily drudge of being a physical, like the physical reality, the 3D reality, because it's very strong on this planet. It's very strong around things like money, materialism, competition, fear, doubt, anger. All those kind of things are very much 3D reality. And as we shift into a 5D reality, we need to move past that. I feel like more and more I'm being asked to stand in my light, my vibration, and remain in that. This is obviously difficult because you go to work, and then you shift into a 3D intellectual sort of reality where it's very much around the external world and how events play out. But I'm being sort of more and more directed to go into my light, into my energy, and remain there. Because once you're in that source energy, everything dissolves, everything releases, everything is shifted, and it's so much about shifting at the moment. I had that sort of symbol yesterday or the day before of the infinite circle of like an infinite sort of like symbol of like of like the number 8, but that's about the infinite cycles. It's about the infinite flow of the universe, and they're very much asking me to step into that, step into the flow of the energy, because once you're into the source energy, then you open up and you start to receive the flow of the universe. You start to see that there's abundance. You start to see there's insight, there's awareness, there's information, there's wisdom, and each and every one of us has that vibration, that frequency, and everything is about vibrations and frequencies. That's the only thing that exists. In essence, reality doesn't exist. It's a vibration. It's a frequency. Even the concept of us trying to sort of like create or interpret a reality. Reality is an ever-evolving process of energy, which is just the vibrations and the frequencies that are vibrating. So in a sense, like reality is just a one sort of energetic flow, and it's about us just trying to remain in that flow of being unified, being in harmony, being in balance. So it's reality is a very sort of like it's something that it's a very sort of there is no reality in a sense. There's just like this ever evolving process of creation and energies, and it's about us sort of like it's more about us being in a state of being and being in that energy frequency and those energy states. When we sort of like try and interpret reality, we're more sort of like trying to do it on a 3D reality, on a 3D concept, that we're looking at reality, and we're trying to interpret things, whether they're good, bad, you know, and that's where that kind of 3D reality that we shift into, and we start sort of like we start then getting caught up and getting attached into that, as this time's not about that. We need to be in a state of awareness where we're open, and we're sort of in our source energy, and we just need to remain in vibrations of frequency and energy. And it's about us sort of like trying to remain in that, remain peaceful, remain sort of like in harmony with that. But it's also then about trying to express our energy and our frequency in a way of being in a state of being, because being is completely different to sort of like doing is trying to get somewhere, doing is trying to solve something, doing is trying to it's trying to get somewhere, it's trying to solve something, it's trying to overcome something. As the state of being is not about that. The state of being is just remaining present and being in your vibration and your frequency, and this is what this time's about. And each and every one of us has the ability to do that, because each and every one of us has this infinite sort of source energy in us, that is waiting to be activated, is waiting to be harmonized. So it's very much around that. It's about trying to, and this is where again the universal law of perpetual transformation comes in, because it's very much around moving into something, feeling the energy of it, aligning it, integrating, dissolving it, and shifting it, and that's so that you remain sort of open and you remain in flow with the universe. Anything that anything that brings fear, doubt, um, worry, or anything like that takes you out of that frequency of harmony. I feel very strongly as well that it's like picking up these crystals today, especially the pink amethyst, and I feel like sort of like feel quite strong angelic presence around us at the moment, and that's very much around sort of trying to bring this bit balance, peace, and harmony that is needed at this time. That we all need to sort of like shift, and shift our whole sort of awareness and our whole consciousness into this harmony frequency. So like, what's happening in your life at the moment that's out of balance? How can you dissolve it? How can you you know, the way to dissolve it is to remain in that source energy, is to remain in that light and express your light. And what you'll find is when you start to express your light, you'll shift to that 5D reality where you'll naturally be in flow, and you'll naturally have answers, and you'll naturally have insight, you'll naturally have intuition. And this is the this is what each and every one of us is here to do, is to shift into that, because we're each channels and vessels of that source energy. And this is what your soul is. Your soul is a vessel of that source energy, and that's what, you know, needs to be activated. And when we start to do that, then we start to walk in spirit, and we start to walk in light. And this is what this time's about. It's again very difficult to explain my impressions and my feelings and my vibrations and my frequencies in a physical way, because when I start to do that, then I start to really sort of shift back into a 3D reality where I'm trying to explain something intellectually which is far beyond that. It's not an intellectual thing. It's a sensing thing which goes beyond the physical rationale. So it's very difficult in that way, and this is some of the challenges I have with doing these readings, is trying to explain the concept of beingness, of light, energy, frequencies, but you can feel it. I feel it through my body, where I walk around and I can feel my physical body vibrating. It vibrates on this light and this energy, and my physical form disappears. I feel it in where I feel like there's an expansive space, and that space is me, but it's not limited. It's far beyond limits, and that's another impression I have of it. I have impressions where, like I say about my light, my body, where it vibrates and it vibrates and it vibrates to. I just feel like there's an energy left there. There's just an energy and a frequency. There's no physical form there, and I feel that quite regularly. I feel it by slowing things down. When I slow things down, and I try and sort of like be more centered, I start to feel that kind of that presence and that source energy as well. It's about sort of like not getting attached to those thoughts, not being sort of like, because sometimes you can feel like when you're in this energy that you're getting drawn outside, like outside into the physical reality, because there's a very different shift between it. The physical reality is very sort of feels very heavy. It feels very slow to me. It's when I'm in a connection of like being in my inner source. It's harmony and it's instant. It's just it's constantly ever flowing. As when I'm outside of myself, it doesn't feel like that. And I feel I get like drawn out into the world. So it's very much around trying to stay centered, and not judging. Don't judge yourself. I mean, this is one of the biggest things that I feel like Spirit is saying, is like judgment is a massive thing. That so many of us are walking around judging ourselves, and every experience and everything and every event that happens in your life, judgment is at the center of it. Where you, even by something impacts you from somebody else, then you look at you look at yourself, and somehow that judgment is manifested on yourself because it's the way you've reacted, or the way you could have done something different, or your anger then sort of reflects at somebody else. So in that sense, you're in judgment. But judgment comes from a place where you're looking at yourself, and you're looking at how you reacted, how you interacted, and then in that sense you separate again, because you separate yourself from the person, um, because of the way you label the event, or you label that experience. So you've already separated yourself, so you're out of balance, you're out of harmony already. But you also then turn it on yourself, because you should have reacted in a different way, or you should have spoken a different way, or the things that you didn't say you should have said. So and then you get caught up in like this perpetual cycle of sort of judgment, and you lower your energy as well. So that's really important. It's like, this is why judgment's really important. That there is no judgment. There's no right or wrong. There's just experience, and as spiritual beings, it's about us just trying to, if something impacts us, or hurts us, or affects us, then it's more about, well, what would my nature do? What would my true nature do? What would my source energy do? How would it respond to that? It would know that person's reality, or that person's um, you know experience is still part of the whole. So it's not separate. So you'd think to yourself, well, although it's impacted me and hurt me, how can I approach it in a way that I would as a spiritual being? I'd approach it in a way of knowing, that that's their experience, that's what they're going through, and it's not mine. It's not my place to judge it. It's not my place to label it. It's my place to send them energy, send them healing, send them understanding, stand in my own light, stand in my own wisdom, stand in my own truth. It's that kind of shift, which is very difficult, because obviously it's a very sort of high. See, I'm going for high now. It's a very sort of like open. Um, it's a very sort of like a place where you're very open, and a very sort of like different kind of place of consciousness. I want to say it differently, because I think again this higher and lower thing, really limits us, and limitation is not what this time's about. So it's about that kind of sort of feeling, but everything again is about shifting. It's about shifting reality. It's standing in your own light, standing in your own energy, but it's also about not being attached, because this time we could easily be attached to so many things that are happening around us. So thanks for listening. I always enjoy sort of talking about the spirit world, and like expanded consciousness and awareness. I mean, it is quite a hard subject to discuss, because it's more about something that you feel and you sense. It's a felt sense sort of thing. It's a state of being. So it goes beyond intellect, which is always very difficult in a physical form to explain. But please comment, subscribe, like, follow. Like I said, I'm open to any questions. This is how my guides have worked in the past. They work on knowledge, wisdom, and they work through me, and they work with daily challenges and practical tools, and then I apply them to my life, and then I share them. And remember that the universal law of oneness is never separate. So every time that I learn or experience something, it's not for me, it's for everybody, it's for the collective. And this is the way spirit work. The spirit don't work for one person or one being. They work for all beings. For all beings. We work for all beings, because it's all about, like, we are one infinite source, we're one infinite vibration. There is no separation in wholeness, and this is the way spirit work. And this is the real shift that a lot of us have, and the challenge we have at the moment is not to concentrate on the I, but concentrate on the we, in the sense of that we're an infinite collective, and we're here to express our light, but not to be attached, and not to judge, or ridicule others, or even self. All barriers that we have in our life are self-imposed, and they're so self-imposed through how we use our energy and how we use our consciousness, and that relates to interpreting other people's experiences, but also how we then turn that energy onto ourselves. And when we turn that energy on ourselves, we lower our energy, and we lower our insight, and we lower our openness, and we move out of harmony. And this is part again of the 3D shift. So 5D shift is not about that, it's about harmony. So look for every opportunity in your life to bring back balance, centeredness, harmony, and union. They're very, very big words at the moment, very much for the 5D shift. Well, thanks for listening, and check out my Facebook page as well, which is spiritual in spiritual awareness and insight as well.